Chapter 11. What is it you be needin', darling? If it's money, you know I can help you with that. It had taken Christy O'Keefe 3 weeks to get back to Elspeth and arranged to meet her at Nepenthe on a Wednesday afternoon for a pot of tea. Not in the bag, it's of the essence. And a plate of peanut butter cookies served on the restaurant's semicircular patio with its broad and sweeping view of the rugged south coast. When Elspeth not only shook her head at him, but a mockingly reproachful finger as well, Christy backpedaled his offer with a jovial laugh. Could it be you're in dire need of a basket of posies, then? Garland of roses, perchance? I know, bunch of blue ribbons? No, no, and no again. Christopher O'Keefe, Elspeth replied with an indulgent smile at her friend, and his irrepressive generosity and concomitant sense of humor. What I do have a need of, however, is of some local historical information of a possibly sensitive nature. It's for a friend of mine who's looking into the identity of his father. A knowing glint of recognition flickered in Christie's now squinted eye. Already talked to him, he muttered while waving the back of his hand dismissively. Fellow came around a month ago asking a lot of nosy questions. Really, Elspeth was not able to hide her surprise at Christie's remarkable quick powers of deduction, as well as Jean Noel's commensatorily disappointing capacity for duplicity. What did you tell him? I'm sorry to say, I weren't at all straight with him. Christie let it be known, albeit without a trace of remorse. Why? The boy weren't straight with me, asking about 2 women and giving good descriptions of them too, but never once calling him by name? Of course not. I didn't tell him neither. Why should I? Heck, he wouldn't even tell me his name when I asked. Danced around that answer, thinking I wouldn't notice, but I did. So I kept tight-lipped. Reckon I told him more about my dog than anything else. That Jean Noel, no doubt with good intentions, protected his family name, came as less of a surprise to Elspeth. The finding out of truth, however, has always been a delicate task requiring the proper ratio of honesty and acumen. A so-called clever deception could quite often be met in kind and therefore prove to be counterproductive, especially if one's subject was anybody as sagacious as Christy O'Keefe. I right near talked that kid's ear off about my dog, though, and he seemed more than interested, too. It was my way of steering the conversation off of those 2 women. I got their reputation to think about. Anyway, what's this boy's father got to do with any of it? Well, Elspeth said as she took a sip of tea and stalled for the time necessary to formulate her answer. When in the distance a dolphin was seen to leap out of the water with confident spontaneity, it gave Elspeth just the push that she needed herself had lacked to forge ahead, albeit with some less exuberance. It seems that one of the women was pregnant, and... Here, Christy could not restrain himself from jumping headlong into the story and pushing the narrative along at a far brisker pace than Elspeth seemed clearly capable of. Darn tootin' she was pregnant, and when her time come, I helped deliver her little one myself right in that there goat house. Honestly, Christy, Elspeth muttered with a mixture of both amazement and relief. What in this world haven't you done? 'Twarn't nothing, Ellie. I seen a lot more blood than that in my time. I served in the medical corps in the war. And that's a damn sight worse than bringing in a little baby into this world. By the way, what is that young feller's name? Jean Noel Dubois. The name hung in midair for several moments, while Christy seemed to ponder it deeply. You sure about that? Yes, Elspeth attested, and then taking the opportunity to put in a good word on Jean Noel's behalf, she continued. He's a fine young man whose mother has just passed away without ever telling him who his father is. Now that's a real shame, ain't it? Christy made this observation, genuine glimmer of compassion this time in his voice. It truly is, Elspeth had to agree. I'm driving to L.A. for the memorial service next week. That is, if my car gets out of shop in time. Otherwise, I'll have to fly. You'll do nothing of the kind, darling. Christy was quick to interject. I'll drive you down there myself. It's the least I can do. I may have been a little rough on that boy. seeing he's just lost his mom and all. I may even want to apologize to him for not being very helpful. I just might want to send some flowers for his mother's funeral, too. I'd love the company, was Elspeth's happy rejoinder, and then thinking of Gwen and Peter McCann added, I have friends in L.A. we can stay with. Now hold your horses, darling, Christy had chortled playfully in reply. You know that's not my style. I'll find a nice place to park my Westphalia overnight, and I'll just be fine. You can stay with your friends as long as you like, and whenever you're ready, I'll bring them home safe. And so it was with these words that Christy summed up their future road trip quite neatly. Elspeth, having seldom felt safe in her life, unaccountably felt so with Christy, and the prospect of not having to travel alone to a funeral did much to relieve an anxiety that was growing steadily within her. But more need I, Elspeth mused, if only to herself. And yet at that exact same moment, Christy winked as if reading her mind. Rest, I think you could use that last peanut butter cookie, darling. I saved it just for you.